Look like Caitlin Clark's civil rights has sparked a WNBA and NBA probe by the Trump administration.
The WNBA commissioner is officially in the hot seat after new reports say the Caitlin Clark civil rights story has turned into a full-blown government probe. Yep, things just got federal. And the crazy part? It's not just about basketball anymore, it's about politics, power, and who's really pulling the strings behind the league. Do you think this investigation is about justice for Caitlin Clark, or just politics at work? Drop your take below. Alright, buckle up, because this story has so many layers it makes an onion look simple. We got Caitlin Clark, we got the WNBA brass, and now we got the Trump administration and the Department of Justice poking around. Yeah, that's right. This thing has gone way past sports.
Months ago that Trump and his administration was coming. I've been preaching on it. I didn't think it was going to hit the NBA first. I thought it was coming to the W first, simply because of Caitlin Clark, her civil rights being violated, and these damn referees.
Reports say a civil rights review has been sparked over how Caitlin Clark was treated throughout the season. From the ref calls to the league's response to the fan chaos to the so-called hostile environment. And guess what? The commissioner is getting dragged for it. Now, if you've been following this channel, you already know we've been covering the Caitlin Clark saga from day one. First, they downplayed the rough play. Then they ignored the fans asking for protection. Then they pretended like nothing was wrong when clips of Clark getting hard fouled went viral every week. And now, here we are, months later, with the Justice Department looking into it. Because apparently, when a league fails to protect its biggest star and creates an environment that looks biased, somebody in Washington takes notice. The Wall Street Journal was the first to hint at this months ago. They said straight up, if the league won't protect its superstars from a hostile environment, the government should. That line aged like fine wine, because that's exactly what's happening now. Now here's where it gets wild. Sources say this civil rights angle was one of the factors that caught the Trump administration's attention. They were already looking into sports gambling issues in the NBA, and then bam. Someone brings up the Caitlin Clark situation and how unequal treatment could fit under a civil rights review. You can't make this up.
Now, Stephen A. Smith has been someone, too, that has been vocal, has been an advocate about this probe happening. Now, I am here to tell you.
Stephen A. Smith even said back in August that Trump's people were watching the WNBA closely. He wasn't guessing. He said flat out that a senator was already talking about this behind the scenes. Fast forward to now, and boom. It's on TV.
You know what world that I live in terms of politics? How many times, for one incident after another, have I said, Trump is coming? He's coming. I'm going to say it on national television again.
So let's talk about why the commissioner is getting roasted. Simple. Leadership failure. While Caitlin Clark was getting hammered on the court, what was the league doing? Posting women empowerment tweets and pretending everything was fine. Fans weren't buying it. Even neutral observers started calling the league anti-Clark. She was the biggest draw in WNBA history and somehow also its most targeted player. The refs let blatant contact go, the players took shots at her in interviews, and the league stayed silent.
I had to talk about a story that's very, very important. And albeit indirectly, it involves Caitlin Clark, the Department of Justice, and quite possibly the President of the United States himself. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. But the one thing I will not do is take credit for this. I am looking at the Wall Street Journal. The author of the article is a guy by the name of Sean McLean.
That's where the civil rights part comes in. Because under federal law, if a league shows bias or fails to apply its own rules equally, especially when race and public perception get involved, that can be a problem. And now it is one. The Trump administration's interest makes it even messier. They see Caitlin Clark as America's sweetheart, a symbol of hard work and merit. So if they believe she's being mistreated, they're going to run with it. Stephen A. warned everyone. If that base picks up this story, the WNBA is going to regret it. Now, every talking head from ESPN to Fox is piling on. Some are calling it accountability. Others call it political interference. But either way, it's bad news for the commissioner because you can't lead a league and look clueless at the same time.
Instead of protecting its transformative star, the league's leadership ignores the relentless targeting of Ms. Clark, treating its greatest asset as if she were a PR headache. That approach could turn into a legal liability for the WNBA.
Let's be real. This wasn't hard to prevent. All they had to do was make sure ref calls were consistent and their own players weren't taking cheap shots on social media. But no. They acted like Clark's popularity was a threat instead of a blessing. And now, they've got the feds sniffing around asking why league officials ignored complaints. That's never a good look. So now the headlines are out, and the WNBA commissioner is catching heat from every direction. ESPN, Fox, The Blaze, even political podcasts are covering it. Some are calling it a reckoning, others just call it karma. Either way, it's bad. You got senators asking questions, journalists digging into old referee reports, and social media sleuths pulling every clip where Caitlin Clark got elbowed, pushed, or smacked without a call. There's a highlight reel on X, formerly Twitter, titled "The Hits That Changed the League." Millions of views. And the commissioner? She's over here talking about fostering equality and supporting diversity. Great speech, wrong timing. People want answers, not hashtags. Fans are flat out roasting her. One post said, "How do you run a league that lets its most marketable player get bullied on live TV?" Another said, "If this happened to LeBron or Curry, heads would have rolled already." Hard to argue with that one. Even former players are chiming in. Some are defending the league, saying, "It's part of the game." Others are flat out saying what everyone's thinking: the refs treated her differently. And when enough insiders start saying the same thing, that's when it turns into a real problem. Because now, the DOJ and the Trump administration are both interested. And when those two names are in the same sentence as your league, you know it's serious. Here's the part nobody wants to admit. This didn't have to happen. The WNBA could have handled this quietly months ago. A few suspensions, some ref accountability, a clear statement that all players will be protected equally. Done. Instead, they pretended it was media drama. Now they've got lawyers calling it a civil rights probe, and reporters asking whether the WNBA violated its own anti-discrimination code. You can thank arrogance for that. See, the league thought Caitlin Clark's popularity would blow over, like a social media trend. They didn't realize she was the trend. They underestimated how much the public cared about her. And worse, they treated her success like a threat instead of an opportunity. So here we are. The commissioner's office is reportedly under internal review for how it handled Clark's complaints about unfair officiating. The Wall Street Journal's piece about the hostile environment is being used as evidence. Emails and memos are being requested. And according to one insider, they're panicking. Even Stephen A. Smith, who's been warning the league for months, said this morning that this is the tip of the iceberg. He said the Trump administration has been watching the WNBA ever since Caitlin Clark became a political talking point. And yeah, he's probably right. Because let's not pretend politics and sports don't mix. They do. The second the White House sees public outrage, they jump in. Trump's people know Clark is popular. They know she represents a huge fan base that feels ignored. You think they're going to pass up that chance? Not a chance. Now, let's talk about how this looks for the WNBA. It's bad optics. A league that constantly preaches fairness, empowerment, and equality is now accused of doing the opposite, of ignoring bias, letting refs play favorites, and failing to protect the one player who boosted their ratings 400%. The commissioner's statement so far? A short 2-paragraph press release saying they welcome all oversight and support transparency. Translation: they're sweating bullets. Because here's what comes next: subpoenas, testimonies, referees being questioned about their decision-making, coaches asked about league instructions. It's going to be messy. And when the truth comes out, if even a fraction of the rumors are true, It's going to destroy whatever progressive image the WNBA's been trying to sell. And you know who wins in that scenario? Caitlin Clark. Because once this is all over, she's going to walk away as the symbol of justice. The player who stood up against bias. Every brand will want to sign her. Every company will want her in their ads. Meanwhile, the commissioner will be lucky to still have her job. Now let's talk about the civil rights side of this. People hear that phrase and think it's just legal jargon, but in this case, it's not. If a player is treated unfairly based on bias, whether racial, gender-based, or due to fan pressure, that can fall under civil rights review. The government's role isn't to decide who wins games. It's to make sure institutions apply rules equally. And when millions of people can see with their own eyes that Clark got hammered on plays that drew no whistle, that's enough to raise flags. You can't have a league bragging about equality while ignoring obvious bias. It's hypocrisy on full display. The funniest part? The same people who said fans are overreacting a few months ago are now scrambling to say, we support the investigation. That's how fast things flip when Washington gets involved. And let's be real, this is only going to get louder. The Trump administration stepping into a women's sports controversy? That's going to dominate headlines for weeks. Every news show, every podcast, every sports panel, all talking about the WNBA and Caitlin Clark. And honestly, it might be the biggest spotlight the league's ever had. Too bad it's for all the wrong reasons. But let's get sarcastic for a second, because this part's almost comedy. The same WNBA that spent months acting like they didn't need Clark's fame is now begging her to stay positive, while the league gets grilled by federal lawyers. Oh, now she's your superstar? Now she's valued? Please. Where was all that energy when refs were swallowing their whistles every time she got clobbered? Where was it when players were throwing shade about her media privilege instead of just trying to, now the league's acting like it's her teammate? Too late. The damage is done. And here's the cherry on top. Sponsors are watching closely. Nike, Gatorade, State Farm, all those companies that poured millions into the WNBA brand, they don't like civil rights investigation attached to their product. So yeah, this is bad for everyone, except Caitlin Clark. And if Trump himself speaks on it, which Stephen A. says is very possible, buckle up, because that'll take this from a sports issue to a political firestorm overnight. It'll be Caitlin Clark versus the system, and you know which side the public's picking. Meanwhile, players who mocked her or downplayed her impact are now silent. Suddenly, everyone's about unity and fair treatment. You can smell the PR panic from miles away. And let's not forget, the NBA's watching too. Because if this investigation spills over into the NBA's gambling probe, you'll see a wave of executive firings faster than you can say federal oversight. Like Stephen A. said, this isn't a coincidence. It's a warning. The FBI doesn't hold press conferences unless it's serious. And they did. Which means more's coming. So yeah, the commissioner can say whatever she wants, but the court of public opinion has already decided. She failed. The fans know it. The media knows it. And now, apparently, the federal government knows it too. And while all this chaos unfolds, Caitlin Clark? She's about to get richer, more famous, and more powerful than ever. Because every story, every debate, every political soundbite, it's all about her now. She's not just a player anymore, she's a symbol. And symbols? They don't lose. So yeah, the WNBA commissioner's under fire, the civil rights probe is heating up, and Caitlin Clark just became the most powerful name in women's sports. Whether this turns into reform or a total meltdown, one thing's clear. The truth's coming out. Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more unfiltered updates right here.